Welcome back to Arkham Draft and Die, where we get to send investigators to their untimely demises. And we're in the first round now. We're doing Return to the Night of the Zealot. And let's go ahead and talk about the rules and all the different things that are happening right now. All right, so play takes place in 4 different rounds. The Mythos phase, which we skip during the first round. The Investigation phase, where we take our 3 actions per investigator. The Enemy phase, where enemies do all of their actions, move around, attack, do all sorts of interesting things there. And the Upkeep phase, where we reset everything that's happened, draw all of our cards, and gain extra resources to spend on cards in the future. Basically, it's just going to be a real interesting time where a bunch of problems will crop up during the Mythos phase, and then during the Investigation phase, we're going to solve those problems while trying to advance the act and get ourselves into a better position. The rules of the game are printed on these 2 cards in general. There are a couple of extra things that will be in the campaign logs and, overall setup that happens as a result of this. But in general, there's going to be an agenda, something very bad that's happening, and every time that the Mythos phase ticks by, the doom on that agenda will go up. The more doom we have, the more likely that a bad thing is going to happen and something might end the game or kill us or damage us or hurt us. So we definitely want to try to beat the clock on this particular thing. The act, on the other hand, contains our objectives for the game. We are always trying to do these things in order to get something good to happen, or at least something that progresses the plot to happen. Typically what these are is that we have to find clues, which are on locations. If we find enough clues, in this case 3 times the number of investigators, or 6 clues, we get to advance the act, flip it over, and resolve whatever happens on that side of the card. So we are going to be basically trying to beat the clock while advancing a particular goal, which is different for every single scenario of every single campaign. Investigators, during their turn, get 3 actions. They can draw cards, play events and assets using the resources that they have available, activate abilities that are considered actions, which are the little arrows, move to connecting locations, investigate, use fight or engage actions, and evade enemies. And also they can do some other things that don't require actions, such as playing fast cards and activating lightning bolt and reaction abilities. If we are we'll run into a lot of enemies. Those might make it a lot harder to do the things that we're trying to do, but we'll explain that as we get into it. So as a demonstration of a location, something like the study here, we've been investigating the strange events occurring in Arkham for several months now. If we flip this, it'll have a shroud value on the left. That's the number 3 in black, and also a number of clues that spawns on it. In this case, 1 times the number of investigator, or 2 of these little clue tokens. Now, if I want to do something with this particular place, I can investigate the location, testing my character's books, which in this case are 5, against this particular value. I'll draw the resulting, I'll basically roll the dice from the chaos bag, which has a number of tokens in it, each of which will give us an additional number, typically a negative number. So we will, if we draw a 0 or a -1 or even a -2 for a tie, we go 5 minus 2 is 3, 3 versus 3 ties, and we take the clue from the location using our investigate action. Most of the other skill tests in Arkham resolve in this same way. We're going to be doing all of that kind of stuff where we just evade monsters, fight monsters, and pass tests of will and speed using the skill values on our character's card combined with the tokens here. In addition, we can also commit cards from our hand, basically discarding them for whatever skill values are listed in the top left corner of the card. So for example, on Harvey Walters, if we were to draw some cards, you can see there is a book icon on this laboratory assistant. I could discard this laboratory assistant at no cost to add the book to my skill test. So that won't work if it's not in my hand. I can also play the laboratory assistant for 2, just by spending resources and putting it in its particular slot. Okay, so we have a deck of cards that we've built ourselves through the draft, and basically we're just going to try and get our investigators through as much of this as possible. One last thing to note, some of the tokens have very special effects. Those are different per scenario as well, and they are listed on this particular card, which we will probably be referencing pretty often. I'm going to go ahead and grab a copy of this card and put it down next to my Chaos deck so that I can see it whenever I am drawing a particular token. That'll be helpful. All right, so let's get into the initial setup. All right. You and your partners have been investigating strange events taking place in your home city of Arkham, Massachusetts. Over the past few weeks, several townspeople have mysteriously gone missing. Recently, their corpses turned up in the woods, savaged and half-eaten. The police and newspapers have stated that wild animals are responsible, but you believe there is something else going on. You've gathered together at the lead investigator's home to discuss these bizarre events. So most of the setup is handled for us, but each investigator is going to begin playing the study, which is where we are now. So we'll reveal this location, as I did in the explanation of the game mechanics. This location also has an ability on it. I can spend 2 actions to draw 3 cards if I'm the lead investigator. Notably, I do need to pick a lead investigator, and in this case, it's going to be Harvey Walters. So we'll go with that. All right, so with Harvey Walters as our lead investigator, the last thing that we have left to do is draw some cards. Okay, so our starting hand consists of Solano Fragments, a Higher Education, a Preposterous Sketches, a Laboratory Assistant, and a Dr. Milan Christopher, which is a pretty good set of cards overall. There's a lot of good stuff here. I would say since we have a Milan Christopher, Laboratory Assistant feels less likely to be good, particularly since we also have access to Preposterous Sketches. I think we have plenty of card draw, so we can get like the extra bonus will from Solano Fragments pretty quickly. I could even do something like hold on to these 2, play them both, get the Solano Fragments online, and then like play Higher Education like very, very quickly. Something like Lab Assistant, Preposterous Sketches. That would draw me 1, 2, 3, 4. Presumably my starting resources are 5. I don't know why that's set to 3 at the moment. Yeah, so like that's definitely a distinct possibility. So I could just keep this hand, pick up the card draw early, set up with a bunch of cards, and then like maybe not even have to play Dr. Milan Christopher. On the other hand, playing Dr. Milan Christopher right now allows me to investigate, get a bunch of resources, and play those into Higher Education, which feels a little bit better as well. Honestly, I'm inclined to keep most of this hand, since most of this hand actually draws us cards. But it might be a good idea to ditch Milan Christopher here and just go for a bunch of card draws so that we can Solano Fragments and play down magnifying classes. I don't hate it. Higher Education's really, really strong. Yeah, we're basically divided between 2 strategies here because our allies determine which strategy we're going after. I think Laboratory Assistant gets ditched, and then the rest of the cards stay, and we just draw 1 more. Okay, and yeah, so that's fine. Barricade wasn't really a better card than Laboratory Assistant, but I think we're okay with that overall. Okay, so roll it, same thing. If we draw a basic weakness in the opening hand, we have to replace it, so we'll go ahead and set that up. As nice as it sometimes is to draw your weaknesses early, although not in the case of Roland for sure. Okay, so Roland's got some good things going on here. Got a Stand Together, got a Greet Wagner, got a Vicious Blow, got a Guts, and got a Flashlight. Honestly, this is a perfect hand to start. I would not mind getting a weapon, so I might toss the Flashlight or the Guts back, and maybe just use that to like get a little bit further along. Yeah, I think that's got a better chance of, if we can draw Roland's 45, that's really, really good. Or either of Roland's weapons, that's also really good. Hey, Roland's 38, that's beautiful. Okay, so our lead investigator is Harvey. Last thing to do is we have these fancy tokens. If you're looking for these in the mod, by the way, they are in the barrel up top right here, the fan-made accessories. So useful things. You also have some other cool stuff here, including fancy custom playmats, which we're going to apply here, because might as well start off with the Knight of the Zealot in the Knight of the Zealot doorway. All right, so Harvey to start has 4 will, 5 books, 1 fight, and 2 speed, and Roland has 3, 3, 4, and 2. Okay. Everybody starts with 0 damage and 0 horror on them. 5 resources, 5 cards, redraw and discard. We did all that. So without further ado, I think it's the lead investigator's time to get crazy. Oh, I should have actually thrown the Preposterous Sketches back because I have this lead investigator ability to draw 3 cards. But, you know, I think it's fine. In fact, I think we might not even end up using it here because Harvey's got a lot of things to be doing, but we'll see. All right, so what are our first couple actions? I would say that like Solano Fragments, Higher Education, Forgotten Sketches, Preposterous Sketches is pretty good. I also like Milan Christopher, Solano Fragments, Investigate. Yeah, I think let's do Milan Christopher first. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and gives Harvey a total of 6 books against whatever the current shroud value is, which is 3. If we investigate, there's a -4 in the pile, and there's a couple of -3s, but we have a decent chance of actually hitting everything we need, and a pretty unlikely chance of taking horror or having anything bad happen. So I think investigating 6 against 3 seems perfectly fine. We might want to play the Seleno fragments here, but I think I'm a little more excited about the investigate action. So let's go ahead and investigate. So to investigate, we test 5 books against the shroud value of 3. We get a bless, which means we draw a card. And Harvey has an ability that when an investigator draws 1 or more cards from their deck during the investigation phase, they get to draw an additional card once per round. So we'll pick both of those up. Alright, so that means we have quite a few cards in hand, which means we can also throw down Seleno fragments and get ourselves a sweet 7. Pretty happy with that. I'll go ahead and toss that down, use my last resource to do so, and with that, we're feeling pretty happy. Okay, so that's Harvey's turn. We can mark these actions that we have taken on the individual cards, and likewise we're going to do the same for the Guardian. Okay. And we got a clue from our successful investigation. So we pull that clue, put it on our clue token counter, and we're good to go. Alright, let's look at Roland. So Roland's got to play Greet and or his 38 special. I would say that probably the best way to go is to go for Stand Together. Gain 2 resources, Harvey gains 2 resources as well. Then we can play 38 special and Disc of Insomnia, or we can play 38 special and like try to get closer to Greet. I really want to play Greet. I think that that's a really important thing to do. So it could be something like we've played a Stand Together as our first action. If we want to, we can play 38 special and Disc, or we could play Greet Wagner, get the extra fight immediately. I think I'm much more inclined to go ahead and play down Roland's 38 special first. So that's 1, 2, 3. And from here, we could either draw a card, 1, 2, 3, or we could play the Disc and just like kind of wing it until Greet actually is ready to go. Disc of Insomnia can defeat enemies, which is pretty cool. I mean, playing it early would allow us to sort of just avoid enemies for a while and give us like a little bit of time. I think if we draw any like very bad enemies, then we feel pretty good about that particular setup. And also, like, Greet Wagner is very, very good, but only after we are a little bit further in. I feel like Roland has a lot of resource gain cards in his deck, so playing something like Disc of Insomnia and not waiting on Greet doesn't seem like a bad idea. I'm going to give that a shot. I have never played Disc of Insomnia with a Guardian before. We'll see how it feels, but I actually think that like dealing 2 damage to enemies as they come out seems really, really cool. So, all right. So we've already turned the tokens, but Action 1 was Roland, Action 2 was 38 Special, Action 3 was Disc of Insomnia. So let's see here. Stand Together. Yep, we have done 3 actions for our turn. That ends the investigation phase, which means we go straight into the enemy phase. Since there are no enemies, we go to the upkeep phase. Each player gains a resource and draws a card. That is the one thing where we're going to have like a little bit of awkwardness in terms of stuff, because we do have to check each player's hand to see what card they drew, in case they drew a basic weakness or something along those lines. Got an occult invocation, so we're set on monsters for a while. It's mostly going to be clue gathering that's going to matter. Good to know, always important to have that accessed. Okay, so from upkeep we go to the start of the phase, the Mythos phase. The Doom advances. We check to see if the encounter deck is going to flip, or the agenda deck is going to flip. At 1 Doom against 3, nope, not going to happen. So from there we deal encounter cards, starting with the lead investigator, Harvey Walters. Harvey's got a chill from below, so he's got to test 4 will against 3. And if he fails, he has to discard a card at random from his hand. For each card he can't discard, he takes a damage. And Roland has the same. Let's double check that we shuffled the encounter deck. Always a classic. Okay, so we'll redeal those since the deck isn't at all shuffled. Whoop. Try that one more time. Harvey, got a Rotting Remains. And an Ancient Evils for Roland. Okay, Ancient Evils is the single worst thing that we can draw. Any character who can cancel Ancient Evils can definitely give us like a lot of extra bonuses in this game, because Ancient Evils places a Doom on the current agenda, which can cause the current agenda to advance. Here, though, it just takes it up to 2. Unfortunately, that's a rough time. Harvey's still got to test Rotting Remains, which is currently 3 against 4. I think we can afford to take some horror early on here, and probably don't really want to be committing a lot of cards, considering that cards will give us will bonuses eventually. So I'm rather inclined to just go ahead and test this 4 against 3 and see what happens. We got a -2, so we take 1 horror. We'll put it right on Dr. Milan Christopher. Why not? Also, as a note, did I do the thing? So I played Dr. Milan, I played Solano Fragments, and then I successfully investigated with Dr. Milan, which means I should have 1 more resource than... yeah. I forgot to gain the resource off Dr. Milan's ability. But in any case, during the upkeep, that raised up again. Okay. We could just call it and say that we didn't do that, right? But I think in this instance, since we're just getting started, it's a small mistake. We won't punish ourselves for it. Okay. So, Mythos phase ends after encounters are dealt. We go to the investigation phase. Now everybody gets to take their actions again. We have some definite clues to investigate. Harvey is going to pick up at least 1 here, and I would say probably the first thing we're going to do is we're going to preposterous sketches and just draw some cards. I could investigate, then draw 3 cards off of the investigatability, but I actually think that that's not as good. Yeah, let's go ahead and do preposterous sketches. Draw 3. 1, 2, 3. And then with Harvey's extra ability, we draw an additional 1. Okay, so a lot of good things going on here. I had to pay 2 for the preposterous sketches, but I get to pay an additional 1 here for a magnifying glass, which right away we've got a pretty stacked set of bonuses. So that is 1 action for the preposterous sketches. This is fast, so we don't have any issues there, and we're currently investigating 8 against 3, which is only a -5 can fail. I feel that's pretty strong. Yeah, let's do the investigate here. I think that seems very reasonable, so we'll go ahead and give it a shot. Harvey investigates 8 against 3. No commits necessary. Gets a 0, which is amazing. Picks up the study clue. And from Dr. Milan Christopher gains a resource. So we should be good to go. All right. So, additional things that are happening. We have 1 additional action left. Harvey's done his draw action, so we don't get that. But I could play higher education here, and that would give me the ability to pass will tests with pretty much flying colors. It also means that we wouldn't discard a card to hand size, which is something that is currently an issue. So yeah, playing higher education seems like the good last action for the turn. And with that, we'll move it on over to Roland. All right, Roland. So Roland's got a Disc of Insomnia down and really wants to get to a Greet Wagner. He's also got an Evidence, which seems pretty handy. I would say right now Roland's primary option is to investigate the bathroom. So we go to the gas stall. Investigators in this location can't draw, or can't take draw actions, rather. And to the bathroom. After you reveal a skull or any of these other things while investigating the bathroom, you lose all your remaining actions and end your turn. So that's a rough investigate, but it is 3 against 1, so it could be pretty reasonable to grab that. We can throw some books at it with Evidence, which might not be a terrible idea. That would be 5 against 1. I feel like that's pretty strong, and also allows us to use Evidence pretty early without having to worry about the resources for Greet. So yeah, let's go 5 against 1. A tablet is a -4, so we actually succeed. We do lose all of our actions for the turn, but we didn't take all of our actions here, so we're fine. Okay, so that is a successful investigation and a pretty successful turn. Now we go to enemy phase, then to upkeep, draw a card, gain a resource. Roland's got another gun, which is excellent, and Harvey draws a card and gains resource as well. How close are we to Thrice Stand? Oh, we got Psychosis. Okay, so that goes into our threat area. After we take 1 or more horror, we take 1 direct damage, which I believe that Harvey is probably going to just discard as soon as possible. It's possible that we do something like walk to the bathroom and do some other investigating, but yeah, it's a tricky one. I would say we're probably going to want to discard that immediately. Okay, anyways, we go to the Mythos phase now. So Mythos, Doom goes up to 3, and when that happens, Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms have turned to dirt. It's almost as if you have been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. The lead investigator must decide. Either each investigator discards 1 card at random from his or her hand, or the lead investigator takes 2 horror. If I take horror here, I'll also take a direct damage, so I might actually go for the discard at random. It would be each investigator, and Roland has that Greet Wagner, which we would really like Roland to keep. But on the other hand, like, cards are pretty cheap for Harvey in particular. He's got a lot of cards that he's fine ditching. I wouldn't really like to lose Extensive Research or Forbidden Dome. I guess there's some stuff that would really hurt. I think here we'll probably take the horror. 1, 2, and 1 from Psychosis. So that's a rough time, but feels like the correct route. Okay, so with that, we go to the next agenda. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. As a reminder, we're trying to find all 6 clues so that we can get through the guest hall. Okay, so yeah, that was a tricky one. From here, I believe we just want to go to the investigator phase. All right, so Harvey's got 2 options here. 1, he can try and pick up all the remaining clues, which is doable. 2, he can just do his like minor actions here to get rid of Psychosis, and then like draw a card or move. I'm okay with either of these. I would say that probably the better one here is to just discard Psychosis. Yeah, let's discard Psychosis. We're not even going to pay attention to Harvey's draw action this time around. And we will actually move to the guest hall, because getting 9 cards here is not really better than getting 8 cards here. Okay. Roland, you've got an additional investigate action to take, but first we want to do some other things. So we could maybe gain some upkeep for Greet, or we could just, let's draw a card. 1-2 punch, lovely card. Not really very helpful here, so I think we're also going to gain a resource. And then finally, I think we investigate 3 against 1, even though it's kind of meh. Cultist is a -2, is that correct? No, you reveal another token or 2 fail, you take 2 horror, so we really want to not get a bad token. That's a bad token, so we take 2 horror. Ouch, that sucked. Okay, well, that's rough, but it also immediately ends our turn and everything like that, so yep. All right, so let's see here. We got some had some mild issues here with the setup and everything, but we're back in the Mythos phase and good to go. Yeah, okay. So last thing to do in the Mythos phase is draw the encounters. We have a Grave Eater and we have a Ghoul from the Depths. So looks like we are spawning 1, 2, 3, 4 enemies, 6 health of enemies directly inside the bathroom. Isn't that a lovely time? Okay, and when these spawn inside the bathroom, it looks like they are both going to engage with Roland, but I think we're also going to use the Disc of Insomnia to either evade or deal damage to one of them. Probably my inclination here would be to deal damage to the Ghoul from the Depths, since it's a higher value to attack, and also it is something that has Retaliate, so I think that's probably the best way to do that. Okay. Once the enemies are dealt, so these guys will prevent us from doing a lot of different actions without taking damage. We can only use the fight, evade, parlay, or resign abilities, and even if we try to engage another enemy, we will take damage from these particular fellas. They've got the fight value on the left for how much you can fight them for, or how much you can test against to try to deal them a damage. The speed value on the right for how much you can test to try to disengage with them and exhaust them. And the middle value is their health, which determines how much damage they can take before they are discarded. Finally, they deal the damage on the bottom here, 1 damage and 1 horror for both of them. And when the Grave Eater attacks us, we discard a card at random from our hand. And one last thing, the Ghoul from the Depths has Retaliate, which means that it can deal damage back to us. All bad news. But if we kill the Ghoul from the Depths, we get a victory point, and the Ghoul from the Depths will go into the victory display, which means it will not get shuffled back into the encounter deck. So the fun part about elites is that, or not always elites, but anything with a victory value, is that while they are tougher monsters, we do get points for them, and they do go away forever. All right. So Harvey's not going to help here, I don't think, but we should probably still start with the character who has the monsters on them, just in case something weird happens. And our basic actions here, I believe, are to fight. If there's a clue on our location, we get +3 fight, and the attack deals +1 damage. So that is a 7, since we do have a clue on our location. So action 1, fight. Kill a ghoul from the depths. Yeah, that's the plan. That seems like a great plan. All right, so pop, pop, 4, 5, 6, 7 against 3. I could commit a single token to that, but I think we're actually okay. So here we go. -4 still succeeds. That's 2 damage to the ghoul from the depths, which then gets removed to the victory pile. Roland has an ability. After we defeat an enemy, we get to discover a clue at our location. So we don't have to worry about this forced ability anymore, because we get to grab this clue. All right, action 2. Ooh, you know what? I think we're actually going to hold off on grabbing this clue, because we want that +7 fighting against the Grave Eater. Action 2, we're going to shoot the Grave Eater as well. Oh, auto fail. Okay, that's a little rough. Not awesome, because it does mean that we miss, but we didn't get retaliated against, so I guess it's fine. One last shot from the 38 special gives us 7 against 2, and that's a 0, so Grave Eater's discarded, and we do in fact pick up that last clue. Alright, well that's not quite what we were looking for, but there it is. Disc of Insomnia got discarded to deal the damage, so Roland's left with 3 resources and 1 bullet left on his 38 special, meaning we're going to want to play that 45 automatic down pretty soon. Okay, still pretty largely great. I feel like we did okay there, and Harvey, since we know we're not finishing the round this turn, I believe we're just going to go for discard Psychosis. And we have 7 cards, so we're going to go ahead and walk to the guest hall. Looks good, looks good. Anything else going on? Nope, we're good. Enemy phase. Nothing happens. Upkeep phase. Gain a resource, draw a card for Harvey. Thrice damn curiosity. For every 3 cards in our hand, we take a damage, which is 2 damage. Could put some on Milan Christopher here, but I think we're okay. Alright. Then we go to Roland, who also gets his upkeep, resource, and a card. 1-2 punch looks great. Yeah, seems solid. So, let's remember that Harvey Walters has 6-7 books at the moment, and an extra +1 while investigating, because that's all pretty relevant. Might actually get a will pretty soon. Probably not, because we have to get like a lot of extra cards in hand, but you never really know. Okay, so from upkeep we go to Mythos. Mythos phase, we put a Doom on this agenda, which is currently at 0, because the Doom all gets removed when the agenda flips. And from there we will go ahead and... Oh, did I actually take the horror and everything? Yeah, we had a little bit of a rollback because of some mild like gameplay issues. So I do have to take a horror as 2 horror as Harvey as a result of Rise of the Ghouls. But I believe we got that all solved. All right. Cool. And we take an extra damage from Psychosis. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right. So Doom goes up to 1, and encounter cards are dealt, starting with Harvey. Harvey gets Chill from Below, which we can handle discarding cards. And Roland gets Dissonant Voices, which is a little worse, but probably shouldn't be too much of a problem here, since probably Roland's going to spend his turn like drawing cards or something like that. It does mean we aren't going to be able to play Greet that turn, but I think we'll be okay. All right, for Chill from Below, it would be nice to throw a will test at this. I don't really have much, though. I'm inclined to throw some will at this just so that we don't have to discard cards. Currently we're at 4, and I think at least 1 will here to make sure that we don't fail by too much is good. If we get like a -4, we have to discard 2 cards. I'm okay with that. All right, so that's the skull. 5 against 3, -2, and if we fail, we get a ghoul, which, yep, definitely very glad that we pumped a single will into that with higher education. So discard that, and we are good to go. Okay, so let's start with Roland so that we remember that Roland can't play assets this turn. I think our action is literally just go walk. resource, since we've got 1-2 punch and greet and like a bunch of other stuff. We could draw to try and get more resource gain cards, but I also can't play those cards if I draw them, so resource seems fine. Roland just gets into the guest hall, and that's all Roland is doing this turn. Harvey, on the other hand, action 1 move. Go to the bedroom. After you fail a skill test while investigating, discard a card random from your hand. We don't want to do that, so we won't. Harvey's investigating at 8 against 2, and I'm going to throw a deduction at this as well. So that's 9 against 2. 0 succeeds, and because of deduction, we get to discover an additional clue at that location. So pick both these clues up. That's action 2 for Harvey. Gain a resource off Dr. Mullen Christopher by exhausting him. For Harvey's third action, we go into the guest hall. We don't actually have to move into the hole in the wall this turn, but I think it's probably the correct thing to do. So all investigators in the guest hall spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance. Actually, yeah, you know what? We'll do that at the start of the round, because we can do that at any time we like. So in any case, I think now we go to enemy phase. Nothing happens. Upkeep phase. Each player gains a resource and draws a card. Harvey gets the Arcane Enlightenment, which we do really want because it allows us to carry an extra tome, namely Forbidden Tome, which I think is high on Harvey's list at the moment. We want to translate this, even though it's a draft and we'll probably never ever get this all. It would be super cool if we did, though. Okay, and then what was Roland's card? Roland got Clean 'em Out. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so from Upkeep to Mythos, we now go to 2 Doom, and encounters are dealt. Frozen in Fear is put into play in Harvey's, and Roland puts another Doom on the table. You gotta stop drumming these particular cards, but I don't like it. You gotta stop doing that. We're actually getting really, really close to 7 already. All right. Frozen in Fear is rough because it's a will test that actually like really messes with Harvey, but I think we're okay here. We can probably spend some turns like doing some setup here. Roland, on the other hand, what do you got? You got the Clean 'em Out? Okay. You got the do you have the Dissonant Voices? Wait, hang on a sec. We got Ancient Evils. The Dissonant Voices is gone. Okay. At this point, we flip the card. Spend all 6 of our clues. Hi, where's that 6th clue? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it on a character card somewhere? Must have dropped it or something. 1, 4. All right, it's fine. We definitely got all 6 clues, so not feeling too bad about that. All right, so we flip the act. The layout of your house is vastly different from its usual structure. Somehow your guest hall seems to have looped around on itself, and you're stuck with no way to enter the main hallway near the front of the house. You notice that the wall between the guest bedroom and bathroom is rotted and stained with what appears to be old blood. With no other way to proceed, you have no choice but to bust through the weak, rotted wall. Put into play the set-aside hole in the wall location. Choose an investigator in the guest hall. Chosen investigator immediately moves to the hole in the wall and reveals it. Then he or she must test 4 will. For each point they fail by, they must discard a random card from their hand. I could actually do Roland here, since Harvey really needs the cards to be successful. But I would lose some pretty important cards, so I'm probably inclined to go ahead and throw Harvey in. So Harvey moves to the hole in the wall. Harvey can't move this turn. Yeah, no, this is definitely correct, because Harvey can't move this turn, so it's just effectively a free move for us, so I think we're pretty happy with that. All right, to get the hole in the wall, we have to take it from the set-aside deck, so hole in the wall. I need this like I need a hole in the wall. And after we reveal it, we put the attic, cellar, and parlor locations into play, but first things first, let's do that will test. All right, Harvey, so you've got approximately 1, 2, 3, 4 will. Yep, that's it. You can throw Arcane Enlightenment at this to pass with flying colors. I actually think that might be the correct option, although it does really work very well with Forbidden Tome. No, it's better to actually like pass this well. Oh, wait, but we have higher education, so we can go 5, 6 against 4. Let's make it 7 against 4. I think that's good. And then 7 against 4 should be fine. Here we go. All right. When you fail with the auto-fail cheat, you fail with a skill value of 0. So Harvey has to discard 4 cards. And I believe it's at random, too. Yep. 1. Farewell Occult Invocation. 2. Farewell Extensive Research. 3. Farewell Forbidden Tome. 4. Farewell the Dream. Alright, we still have Arcane Enlightenment, but yeah, that sucked. Seleno Fragments turns off. Higher Education doesn't work anymore. I'm glad we didn't invest more resources in that, but that's one of those turns that's really disheartening. Arkham can be pretty punishing, and this is an example of a punishing round, punishing autofail. All right. But with that, we go from Mythos to, well, you're starting the investigation phase, so everybody's got their resources and their hand stuff going on. Harvey can't move this turn, so I think it's probably correct to draw a card and then use Harvey's ability to draw an additional card. I mean, he can move this turn, but it's going to cost him, so seems not great. We put the attic and the cellar into play. So we pick a random cellar card and a random attic card. And the other two go away. Throw them back in the gathering. There we go. Yeah. Cool. So, Harvey drew a card. That's action 1. Investigating is not going to get us a lot here, and Arcane Enlightenment doesn't matter since we don't have a tome yet. We could emergency cash to get some resources. Pretty easy way to get some stuff going. I think we draw another card. Perception, cool. And then let's just fill up our hand, draw another card. Higher Education, seems great. That puts us up to 7, which, yeah, solid turn for Harvey overall. Not crazy, but not awful. All right, Roland, you have to move to follow Harvey into the hallway. So that's action 1. I think action 2 is Greet Wagner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources. And that puts Roland's fight up to 5, which is going to be pretty useful. We have cleaned them out, so we can actually fight for like 3 damage, and we also have 1 bullet left on Roland's 38 special, which is another like 2 damage. And Vicious Blow can deal +1 too, so we can do up to 4 pretty easily, up to 6 at the moment. I would like to get the 45 automatic down sometime soon, so I might do something like gain a resource here. We also have cleaned them out and a couple of other things going on, so I'm not sure if I'm inclined to do that. Probably I think what we need to do here is draw another card. Okay, got a barricade. That's actually a pretty useful card. From there, we go to an enemy phase. No enemies. Upkeep phase. Oh, Harvey needs to test Frozen in Fear, which happens before upkeep and at the end of the investigation phase. So discard a Higher Education to that. Don't need it. That's 5, 6 against 3. And a resource makes it 7 against 3. Could throw an Arcane Enlightenment at it at this point, but I think 7 against 3 is fine. -2 succeeds, discard Frozen in Fear. Alright, upkeep. Resource and a card. Vault of Knowledge for Harvey, that's great. That puts our max hand size up to like 10, which I think is really, really solid. And Roland gets something. Looks like an Overpower. Awesome. Okay, from there, Mythos. Doom goes up to 4. I can do that from here. No, didn't think so. And then we push the encounters. Grave Eater drawn on Harvey, so engages with Harvey. And an Obscuring Fog attaches to our location, which doesn't have any clues on it. So +2 Shroud and harder to investigate. Not a big deal. All right. Starting the investigation phase now. I think we're definitely going to start with the obvious Roland Banks. So let's go. I think Roland's first action is going to be to shoot or to fight. 6 against 2 feels pretty good. I'm going to do a clean them out fight action. So when the action begins, gain 2 resources. And I think we'll throw an Overpower at this just to, Oh no, we're going to throw a Vicious Blow at this because we want to deal 2 damage. So that actually puts us at 7. Oh, it actually puts us at 6 against 2. I would really like to succeed this, so I'm going to throw the Overpower as well for 7, 8 against 2, because there's a -5 in the deck. Okay, Cultist is reveal another, and -4 is very bad, but we still succeed. So we get to deal 2 damage to the Ghoul on Harvey, which pretty good stuff. If Roland were standing on a location with a clue, he could grab it. Oh, that's where that clue went. Hi. Okay, regardless, we did gain our resources and deal our damage, so next action here, I think, for Roland is probably to move into a location that Harvey's going to be in. Let's both go to the cellar. After you enter the cellar, you take a damage. I can deal with that. We can even put it on greed if we wanted to, but I don't want to. And then for our last action, we'll play the 45 automatic because we have the resources to do so. Isn't that exciting? We've got guns out, we've got Greet Wagner. Life is good. Solid time for Roland. Harvey's having a little bit more of a struggle, but really not too bad. I think our first action is probably going to be to go ahead and just move in here. Yeah, we're still investigating at like super high stat values, so something like Vault of Knowledge here could be really, really strong. So yeah, let's go ahead and go with the Vault of Knowledge. Play that down now, because it's just a super good Harvey card. Action 1. Action 2, move to the cellar. And then action 3, we're going to investigate. Currently we are 5, 6, 7, 8 against 4. Perception would get us some more cards, which I do like. Also gives us a better chance of winning. Okay, let's investigate with burning the Midnight Oil. Gain 2 resources. Perception, and that's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 against 4. Skill is a -2, so we do succeed. We pick up a single clue, gain a resource off of Milan Christopher, pull a card from Perception, pull a card from Vault of Knowledge, and pull a card from Harvey Walters' ability, which plays Cryptic Writings for 2. Good stuff, Harvey Walters. Strong character. Alright, pick up a single clue. That is the one bad thing about what happened here. But we got a lucky cellar. If we'd gotten something where it's like deep below your house or deep above your house, that would be a little bit trickier. But here we're actually pretty well set up and doing okay on that. So action 1, action 2, action 3, all good to go. From here we go to the enemy phase, then the upkeep. Laboratory assistant feels great. And then, who's this one? Working a hunch. Oh, that's actually awesome. Okay, Mythos phase. Doom goes to 5. Not as bad as it could be. Chill from below. And Swarm of Rats. Hey, that's actually really, really good. Huh. Okay, that's awesome. We're getting like really good encounter spawns here. Okay, Harvey's got to test Chill from below, and that's what, discarding cards again, which it sucks. I think we're gonna go for a Guts here. So that's 5, 6. Once per round. Okay, but we still want to draw the cards. So currently we are 6 against 3. Could throw an Arcane Enlightenment to have like a little bit of an extra hand size value. Yeah, I don't need that many more tomes at this point, so if we play an Arcane Enlightenment, we can play a Magnifying Glass as well. Okay, so yeah, maybe I do want my tomes. I'll just put a resource in to make it guaranteed, as long as I don't draw the auto-fail. Okay, we draw a card off Harvey's ability. We draw a card off Guts. And we draw a card off Harvey's other ability. Playing a Cryptic Writings for 2. Getting through our deck pretty fast. Now, Harvey has a hand size of 10 right now. It's going to be 11 with Arcane Enlightenment. So I think we're feeling real happy about how all this is going. We also got Occult Invocation, which is going to be nice for the emergency caches that we are no longer using. This was a pretty good setup. Okay. Well, Roland's going to go first for reasons that are going to become very apparent in a very short period of time. I think we just fight 5 against 1. Yeah, that seems great. Let's fight 5 against 1. I like 5 against 1. 5 against 1, no bullets, just great. Bop. A skull is a -2, so we succeed. We defeat the Swarm of Rats. I'm going to activate Roland Banks' ability. Discover a clue at our 4-shroud location. I'm going to deal a damage to Greet Wagner. Activate Greet Wagner's ability. Deal a damage. Get a clue. And finally, I'm going to working a hunch. Get a clue. Roland, Banks, killing it. Well done. All right, that was action 1. Working a hunch is fast, so we're good there. Action 2, action 3, bop bop, up to the attic. After you enter the attic, you take a horror. Ah, that sucks. I don't like taking horror. But we'll take it. Put it on Greet Wagner. Hi-ho. Okay. Harvey Walters. Guess what we're doing today? We are going to... Action 1, Action 2. Go to the attic. We don't need the magnifying glass to investigate this, so I think we're just going to investigate it. 5, 6, 7, 8 against 1. This is one of the strongest showings that we've ever had from Harvey Walters and Roland Banks. Okay, so I've already drawn my card for the turn, because I did that during the investigation phase. But we do gain a resource off Dr. Juan Christopher. We draw a card off Vault of Knowledge, which is Perception. Awesome. And how many cards do we have in hand? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we aren't going to draw it a hand size, notably. And finally, we get a clue. Gross. Gross. Just gross. We're set up for fights. We're looking pretty strong. An enemy phase happens, no enemies. Upkeep phase happens. Gain a resource, draw a card. Gain a resource, draw a card. Mind over matter. It's 10 cards for Harvey. Seems pretty good. And Roland. Haunted. Okay, so -1 to each of your skills. We do want to get rid of that. We'll probably spend most of the turn doing that. I think if I spend 2 turns discarding Haunted and then just leave, that's pretty okay. It would be nice if we could pick up 1 more clue as Roland, since I think Harvey's not going to be able to get all of them, but we'll see, we'll see. All right, where are we at? So, I really want to get to that Forbidden Tome and solve it, but I am also not excited about the idea of getting greedy. Let's go to the Mythos. Doom goes to 6. Encounter cards are dealt. Grave Eater spawns on Harvey. Okay, so Roland's got some stuff to fight. That's actually going to be pretty important. That puts us in the investigation phase. Roland is going to have to shoot some things. Currently your fight is 5, 45 automatic makes it 6, and I think 45 automatic is better than Roland's 38 special here. So yeah, 6 against 2 is decent for 2 damage. I'm into it. Oh wait, no, you're actually 5 against 2, because you've got other stuff on you. 5 against 2. Well, I don't like that. Harvey, can you contribute a skill point here? I would wager you have got a fight in here somewhere. Oh, you've also got an extra will off Solano fragments right now, so you're kind of loath to get rid of a card, aren't you? But yeah, we'll toss the mind over matter here. I think that... I don't know. No, that's fine. Yeah, that puts 6 against 2 on Roland. 0 succeeds, 2 damage to the Grave Eater. We also have to make another kind of meh test, 4 against 1 on the Swarm of Rats. I'm not going to shoot a bullet here. I think we're just going to attack him. I could do Haunted here and like just resolve 2 damage. It wouldn't be a terrible idea, but I think that maybe it's better to just... No, I think it's better to go 4 against 1. -2 succeeds, rats are dead. And then Roland's last turn is going to be spent... We could investigate 2 against 1. Oh, actually, we're going to pick up a clue off of Roland's ability and Greet's ability, because that just makes a lot of sense. Pick it up. Pick it up. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't get rid of Haunted, so do have to do extra damage to Greet Wagner for that. I think our last action is probably going to be to go into the hallway, though. And when we're done there, we're going to set up a barricade. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we get a resource or something. We need resources to kill things, and we need cards to help kill things as well. So, yeah, a resource seems reasonable. Okay. Harvey Walters. Hi. Let's do an investigate action. Double check your hand size. You're good, you're good. Actually, I think we have a hand size counter in here. Stat counter, chaos token reserve, fan made. Here it is. White hand size counter. That will tell us exactly how many we've got. Just clone a copy of it to make sure that we have an extra if something goes wrong. All right, so 8 cards in hand. $10 is our limit. First things first, let's do the investigate. So investigate 5, 6, 7, 8 against 1. -2 succeeds. We pick up the last clue on the attic. Action 2, we're going to move down to the hallway. Because we got no reason to be in the attic anymore. We also don't really need books that much anymore. We could potentially ditch Milan Christopher and throw a lab assistant here. I kind of like it. One, 2. Did I gain my resource and draw my card off Vault of Knowledge? I did not. Draw a card off Vault. Draw a card off Harvey Walter's ability. Gain the resource off Christopher before we ditch him. Okay. And then we draw 2 cards off Laboratory Assistant. Working a hunch might never matter. Is that right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, looks right. So our max hand size is 12 right now. Oh, we actually have 11 cards. Cool. This looks strong. I think we're in pretty good shape. Mind Over Matter is a strong card too. Cool. How many clues does Harvey have in total? Counting this, we've got 3, and Roland's got a hold of more. Roland was actually the clue getter here. Roland's got the other 5, so Roland needs to be moving to this location next turn. Unfortunately, the Doom is going to flip, which sucks, but I guess we're okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go to enemy, then upkeep, resource and a card, resource and a card. Harvey takes a direct horror from shuffling his deck. Extensive research is nice, but not really going to help here. Roland has a stand together, which doesn't matter, but will be useful for getting resources if we end up in a situation like that. All right, Mythos phase. Now bad things start to happen. Doom goes to 7. Agenda flips. We'll still have to deal encounters. A feral beast, roughly humanoid with a canine cast and hooves for feet, tears through the ground in front of you. Below the floor, you can see some vast tunnels beneath your house. Fiendish howling echoes from deep within the underground caverns. Shuffle the encounter discard pile onto the encounter deck. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a ghoul is discarded. Lead investigator draws that enemy. Lead investigator is Harvey, which does kind of suck, but I guess we're okay. So, shuffle. Discard. Oh, what a beautiful discard. Discard? Grave Eater. Okay. I was kind of hoping for a different enemy, but that's okay. Then we go to Doom goes to 0. They're getting out. You hear a crazed howl outside, and suddenly all the creatures turn their attention to that sound. They rush to escape the house, breaking down doors and clawing at everything in their way. At the end of the enemy phase, each unengaged ghoul enemy moves 1 location towards the parlor. At the end of the round, place a Doom on this agenda for each ghoul enemy in the hallway or the parlor. Okay. So, encounters. Swarm of rats on Harvey. That's not great either. He's also got the Grave Eater on him. Roland. Ancient Evils. So, another Doom. This sucks because Roland's still got that Haunted on him, so Harvey might actually have to, like, get to work here. In fact, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. Investigation phase. Mind over matter. 1 resource. Use your books in place of your fight and your speed this round for the next 3 actions. Well, actually, I don't even have to do that, do I? I've got a Cult Invocation, so I could throw a Cult Invocation at the Grave Eater. I think this is better. Yeah, so I think we're just going to go action 1, action 2, action 3. It's tricky. Have any other ways to draw cards here? I got another lab assistant. So I could do something like Occult Invocation to fight, then I'd still have to mind over matter though. Yeah, no. We'll just attack 7 against 1 against the rats. 0 succeeds. Goodbye, rats. 7 against 2 against the Grave Eater. Bless succeeds, and we draw a card. We also draw another card off Harvey's ability. Forbidden Tome. Nice. That's 1 damage to the Grave Eater. And 1 more time. 7 against 2. Pfft. Harvey. Harvey, stop. Harvey, they're already dead. Harvey. This is... I'm making this look easier than it is. Okay, during our upkeep, we're going to actually have to discard cards to hand size, I think. Let's see here. What's our hand size? 8 plus 2 plus 2 is 12? 12. And we're at 13 cards. Yeah. So unless I could, like, Arcane Enlightenment, which I can't because I've spent my actions for the turn. That's it. Okay, roll in, discards Haunted. 1-2 actions. Oh, it goes in the discard pile. Thank you. And then final action, move to the hallway. Enemy phase, nothing happens. Upkeep, gain a resource, draw a card. Gain a resource, draw a card. Mind over matter. Okay, we got the second one. That's amazing. Okay, before the next round, when the round ends, investigation in the hallway may, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues to advance. Bob. Using the barrel from the attic, you carry ice and snow from the cellar and hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders as it consumes the ice, then hisses and fades out of existence. The barrier blocking passage into the parlor has vanished. Reveal the parlor. Put the set-aside Lita Chandler into play in the parlor. Spawn the set-aside Ghoul Priest in the hallway. So, the parlor, which I haven't even put out, but is locked. Ta-da! So we'll just take that barrier, and we will flip it over. And it's got a parlay ability for Lita Chandler. The Ghoul Priest spawns. This little bugger's got a prey on the highest fight, so he's going to jump directly on Roland. And he's also got Hunter and Retaliate. He's 4 strength, 4 speed, and has 10 health, which is 5 times the number of investigators. Deals 2 damage each, both damage and horror, and has a victory 2. And Lita Chandler comes down here. Gives each investigator a location +1 strength. When an investigator location successfully attacks a monster enemy, that investigator deals +1 damage. And yeah, overall, like a pretty sweet character. Okay, Ghoul Priest is spawned in the hallway. A woman with a torch stands in your parlor, a glimmer of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams, furious. Before you can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind you, and a creature wearing robes and a deer skull mask tears through the wall, advancing towards you. The Ghoul Priest is defeated. We advance. So, no more clues, just kill. Gotta deal 10 damage to this thing, which I think we can probably do, considering that we have just a stupid amount of stuff to throw at that particular problem. In fact, I could probably do it with Harvey's Occult Invocations at the moment. I think Harvey might actually be able to kill it, deal 6 damage to it this turn, which doesn't feel like a bad idea. Okay, but first things first, Mythos phase. How complicated is this going to get? Encounters. Well, first Doom. Doom goes to 1, and at the end of the round, you place a Doom on this agenda for each ghoul enemy in the hallway of the parlor. So it doesn't actually go up any further. Good to know, good to know. Okay, encounter. Crypt Chill. If you fail, discard an asset you control. I would be okay with that. Harvey's got 5 will right now from Seleno Fragments, notably. At 15 or more cards in hand, he gets another book. What could we discard that would be bad for us? I mean, I could discard Laboratory Assistant. That would be kind of fun. Yeah, let's just test straight 4 against 4. Oh, honestly, we've got the resources. I think we just 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 8 against 4. Good enough. 0 succeeds. Crypt Chill's done. I do want to translate the tome just to style on the school, so I might do that. Roland, what's your encounter card? You get an Acolyte of Immortus. So you've actually got an enemy that could be a problem. You've got a 1-2 punch, so you got a decent amount of fight going on here. There's some stuff happening. It would be really nice to get Lita here, but I also think it might be really nice to just, like, play the tome, translate the tome. Oh, wait, no, we need all 5 secrets off of it before we can actually translate it, so that's not going to happen at all. I didn't even realize. Fair enough. So in that case, I think we just kill the Ghoul Priest and call it a day, yeah? We've got 1 victory point Ghoul in the table. What else could go wrong? Can Roland evade the Ghoul? If we can evade the Ghoul, things get a little easier, because we get a little bit more space to move. I would say that that's unlikely. Yeah, we didn't see a lot of victory point Ghouls here, which makes me kind of want to stick around, but I know too well how badly that can go, so I think instead we're just gonna go ham, go Harvey. Roland's got a decent amount of stats left at the moment. If we shoot the Acolyte of Immortus first, we're just going to take a mild hit. So I think we take an action to kill the Immortus Acolyte, and we send Harvey in for the main fight event. Yeah, action 1 move. Hi, Lita. Would you like to join our team? We've got a 5, 6, 7 book right now. 14, in fact. Is there anything we can do at fast spell speed to draw another card? Five, 6, 7 books. Oh, it's actually 6 books because we don't have Mullen Christopher. All right, fair enough. 7, 8, 9 against 4. -1 succeeds. Lita Chandler joins our party. And Lab Assistant is discarded, which is a little unfortunate. Third action, Harvey's going to step right back in here, and now Roland's got an additional +1 fight, as does Harvey. Okay. Gotta have to discard here to like 10 or something like that. Oh, in fact, we're at 14 cards, so I actually should discard right now. Let's ditch the emergency cache. I was supposed to do that during upkeep, in fact. My hand size is 12. We'll ditch a Magnifying Glass as well. Okay. That's Harvey's whole turn. Action 1, action 2, action 3. Roland. You've got 3 actions. Got 6 fight from Greet Wagner. Got no evade. Can you just kill him? We can take 1, 2, 3, 4 fight actions this turn. Yeah, I think we can just kill him. It's a little tricky because like we do kind of want to draw some other ghouls and stuff, but I don't see any way to do that that's not going to cause like a ton of problems. So yeah, I think we just try and go for it. Action 1, 1, 2 punch. Fight, you get +1 fight for this attack. So 4, 5, 6 fight using Greet Wagner and Lita Chandler, and also we get to deal +1 damage whenever we successfully attack a monster enemy. So 6 fight against 4. We are going to need Harvey's help with all of this. So Harvey contributes an unexpected courage to the skill test. That's 8 fight against 4 for the Ghoul Priest. -4 succeeds. We deal 2 damage from Stand Together, or from 1-2 punch, and from Lita Chandler's ability. If we succeed, we get to fight the enemy again. We get +2 fights, so now we're 8 fight against 4. Harvey, do you want to contribute a skill test to this? Cult Invocation is not going to do it. I think we just go 8 against 4 here. Here we go. 0 succeeds. That one deals +1 damage, so it's a total of 5. Ghouls half dead. Action 1. Action 2. Fire Roland's 38 special. No, actually, it doesn't matter. Let's fire the 45 automatic. Doesn't actually make a difference since we don't have a clue on our location, but that's a +1, so it's 7 against 4. The disadvantage here being that if we fail, bad things can happen. I think I'm confident enough in... Yeah, we toss Forbidden Tome at that to make it 8 against 4. Here we go. -3 succeeds, so that's 6, 7, 8 damage. 2 damage from the automatic, 1 damage from Lita Chandler, which doesn't exhaust, it's just a reusable ability. For our last action, 1-2 punch, fire the 45 automatic, fire the last bullet out of our 38 special for style points. That's another 7 against 4. This time, Harvey's going to commit 2 occult invocations. So that's 9 against 4. We can only fail on the autofail shit. -3 succeeds. The Ghoul Priest is defeated. That was a really strong showing. We advance the act. When the robed creature falls, the fiendish swarm burrows back into the ground, and the chaos of the house quiets. But the stranger in your parlor doesn't seem relieved. You broke my seal that was set to trap the ghouls within. She raises her torch. Now, we must take more direct measures and burn this hell pit to the ground. The lead investigator must decide, choose one. It was never much of a home, burn it down. Or, this hell pit is my home. No way are we burning it. We lose Lita Chandler if we choose resolution 2. But I would say that, like, regardless, it's generally correct to burn the house down. So we are going to go ahead and burn this ghoul-infested mess to the ground and hit resolution 1. You nod and allow the red-haired woman to set the walls and floor of your house ablaze. The fire spreads quickly, and you run out the front door to avoid being caught in the inferno. From the sidewalk, you watch as everything you own is consumed by the flames. Come with me, the woman says. You must be told of the threat that lurks below. Alone we are surely doomed, but together we can stop it. In our campaign log, record that our house has burned to the ground. The lead investigator, that's Harvey Walters, earns Lita Chandler, and may include it in his or her deck. This card does not count towards that investigator's deck size. The lead investigator suffers a mental trauma from watching his or her home become a smoldering ruin, so we will always start the next couple of rounds with a horror. And each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X card of each card in the victory display, remembering to add eligible locations to the victory display, which qualifies the Ghoul Priest, the Attic, and the Cellar. I believe that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 experience, plus 2 is 7. So we each get 7 experience. Harvey gets a mental trauma. The Ghoul Priest has been defeated. And our house has burned to the ground. All right, so we've done this particular challenge quite a few times, and actually getting through this part of the round while killing the Ghoul Priest is surprisingly difficult on hard. I think we've only done it like successfully once, and we didn't get to defeat Umordoth that one time that it happened. So I'm really proud of this run. I think Harvey Walters was the all-star. They just drew their Bless token like 6-7 times. It was absolutely ridiculous. They got to fill up their hand, do a lot of insane nonsense. Clearly I shouldn't have taken the Forbidden Tome, but it was an interesting card and a fun one to try to deal with, so maybe we'll get a chance to upgrade it later. Okay, so with that, I think we are all set up, and we'll go into upgrades next. Thank you all for watching. This is the end of the first round of Arkham Draft and Die, and with any luck, we're not going to lose any investigators on this first run of Return to the Night of Zealot, because it only gets worse from here if we lose these really, really skilled investigators. Okay, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Next time around, the Midnight Masks. See you then.